1. You have swum in a resort hotel pool. You know exactly what it feels like. The water is impossibly clear, blue all the way to the bottom, no harsh smell, no eye irritation. You get out after 2 hours and your skin does not feel stripped and your eyes do not burn. And you have always assumed it was because hotels use more chemicals, stronger chemicals, professional-grade products unavailable to the average pool owner? That assumption is what the pool store has been counting on for years. The ingredient resort hotels use is not exclusive. It is not professional grade. It is not expensive. It costs $4 to $7 per box, and it is sitting in the laundry aisle of the grocery store 2 miles from your pool right now. Hotels use it because it creates the single most important chemistry condition for consistent water quality, pH stability across heavy bather load, sustained heat, and hours of aeration. The same forces that knock residential pool chemistry off balance every afternoon have almost no visible effect on a pool where this ingredient is correctly established. The ingredient is borax, sodium tetraborate, 20 mule team borax from the laundry aisle. And the reason your pool does not feel like a resort hotel pool has nothing to do with the size of the pool, the quality of the equipment, or the budget of the facility. It has to do with whether a $4 box of borax is dissolved in the water at the correct concentration, creating the pH buffer system that separates hotel pool water from average residential pool water. Before the method, there is one check that determines whether this works from day one or requires a preliminary correction first. That check takes 5 minutes and comes before any product purchase. Why hotel pool water feels different? The real mechanism. Most pool owners who swim in a well-maintained resort pool walk away with one conclusion: the hotel uses better chemicals. The actual explanation is simpler and less expensive. The hotel uses a pH buffer system that holds water chemistry in the range where chlorine works at full effectiveness all day, regardless of how many hundreds of people swim in it or how long the afternoon sun hits the surface. Here is the mechanism. 1 every factor that makes a summer pool difficult to maintain. Aeration from swimmers and jets, heat, UV bather load, pushes pH upward. A pool without a buffer system has pH climbing from 7.5 in the morning to 8.0 or above by mid-afternoon on a busy day. At pH 8.0, chlorine loses roughly 75% of its sanitizing power. The chlorine that was working correctly at 8 a.m. is working at 25% effectiveness by 2 p.m. Organic compounds that chlorine would have oxidized at correct pH accumulate instead. 1. They react with chlorine to form chloramines, the compounds responsible for eye irritation, skin irritation, and the harsh chemical smell most people associate with too much chlorine. It is the opposite signal. That smell means too little working chlorine, not too much. A resort hotel pool does not drift. The buffer system holds pH in the range where chlorine operates at high effectiveness through the afternoon peak demand period. Organic compounds get oxidized as they enter the water rather than accumulating. Chloramines do not form at the rate they do in an unbuffered residential pool. 1. The water smells like nothing because there is nothing in it producing a smell. It feels comfortable because the irritants that form in high pH, chloramine-loaded water are not present. Borax is the compound that creates this stability, not by adding more chlorine, not by using a stronger sanitizer, by creating the chemical environment where the chlorine already present works correctly all day. A $4 box of borax produces the chemistry condition that makes a hotel pool feel the way it does, available to every residential pool owner. 1 never mentioned by the pool store because it eliminates several recurring purchases the moment an owner discovers it. What borax does in pool water? 3 functions, 1 compound. Function 1, borate buffer system. When borax dissolves in pool water at 30 to 50 ppm, it creates a buffer that specifically resists the upward pH push from aeration. Every time someone swims, every time a jet runs, every time a waterfall operates, carbon dioxide is driven out of the water and pH climbs. The borate buffer absorbs this push. 1 pH that would have climbed from 7.5 to 8.0 on a busy afternoon climbs to 7.6 or 7.7 instead. That difference between 25% effective chlorine and 45% effective chlorine is the difference between the water that needs attention every few days and the water that holds its quality through the whole week. Function 2, reduced chloramine formation. Because chlorine is working more effectively at the pH the borate buffer maintains, organic compounds entering the water get oxidized more quickly. One, faster oxidation means less accumulation of the nitrogen compounds that react with chlorine to form chloramines. Less chloramine formation means the pool smells better, feels more comfortable to swim in, and requires less corrective shocking to burn off accumulated combined chlorine. This is directly why hotel pool water does not have the harsh chemical smell of the average residential pool. Function 3. Water clarity and comfort improvement. Water with established borates at 30 to 50 ppm has a quality that pool owners describe variously as silkier, more vivid, clearer in color. One, eyes do not sting. Skin does not feel dried out after extended swimming. This is not placebo. It is the result of water that is not accumulating the chloramine load and pH-driven irritants that degrade quality in unbuffered pools. What borax does not do: sanitize, clear a green pool, fix high CYA, compensate for inadequate chlorine or poor filtration. It is a stability layer that makes everything else in the pool chemistry work more consistently and for longer periods between corrections, not a standalone solution. The pre-check that determines whether borax works from day one. 3 numbers to test before buying a single box of borax. All 3 with a drop test kit, not strips for these specific parameters. Check 1. Total alkalinity, target 80 to 120 ppm. Borax raises pH when added. If alkalinity is below 80 ppm, pH after the borax addition is unpredictable and the subsequent acid correction harder to manage. Correct alkalinity with grocery store baking soda first. Get it stable at 80 to 120 ppm over 24 hours before adding borax. This foundation makes the borax setup clean and the resulting buffer stable. Check 2. Current pH. 1, target 7.4 to 7.6 before adding borax. Adding borax to water already at pH 8 pushes it above 8.5. At that level, chlorine is functionally inactive and the setup process produces poor water quality for several days. Bring pH to 7.4 to 7.6 with muriatic acid if it is elevated before the borax goes in. Check 3. Cyanuric acid. Target 30 to 50 ppm. If CYA is above 70 ppm, borax cannot address what is actually limiting pool chemistry. Chlorine lock from excessive CYA makes every other chemistry improvement less effective. 1, dilute first. Drain 25 to 30%, refill, retest after 48 hours. Confirm CYA below 65 ppm, then establish the borate system. Adding borax to a pool at 90 ppm CYA improves pH stability in a pool where chlorine is still largely inactive. Fix CYA first, 5 minutes for 3 checks. They determine whether the setup delivers hotel pool water within 36 hours or a frustrating week of chemistry corrections. The exact setup method, step by step. Step 1. Confirm all baseline numbers. Free chlorine, pH, total alkalinity, CYA. Write all 4 down. 1. Make no additions until you have accurate readings. Step 2. Correct alkalinity to 80 to 120 ppm with baking soda if needed. Grocery store baking soda at $1 per pound for a 10,000-gallon pool. 1.5 pounds raises alkalinity by 10 ppm. Add in 2 stages, half first, run pump 2 hours, retest, add remainder if needed, target 100 to 110 ppm for maximum buffering, wait 24 hours for alkalinity to be confirmed stable before proceeding. Step 3, correct pH to 7.4 to 7.6 if out of range. 1, muriatic acid from the hardware store if high. Diluted in a bucket of pool water first. Acid to water, never water to acid. Poured slowly at the deep end with the pump running. In stages with retesting between washing soda from the laundry aisle if low. Step 4, calculate borax dose. To establish borates at 50 ppm from 0, 20 pounds per 10,000 gallons. For 15,000 gallons, 30 pounds. For 20,000 gallons, 40 pounds. If borax was used in prior seasons, test with a borate strip first and calculate only the additional amount needed to reach 50 ppm. Step 5, add borax with the pump running. 1, walk the perimeter and broadcast evenly across the surface. Do not dump in one location. For doses above 15 pounds, split across 2 consecutive days. Borax dissolves fully within a few hours of normal pump operation. Step 6, 2 hours after the borax addition, test pH. It will have risen by approximately 0.5 units, expected and planned for. Add muriatic acid diluted in a bucket to bring pH back to 7.4 to 7.6. Add in stages. Test between additions. Do not overshoot below 7.0. Step 7. Retest all numbers the following morning. The borate system takes 12 to 24 hours to fully stabilize. 1. If pH is in range and a borate strip confirms 30 to 50 ppm, the system is established. Small pH correction if needed. Most setups are fully stable within 36 hours. Total hands-on time for the complete setup, approximately 45 minutes spread across 2 days including wait periods. Total cost for a 10,000-gallon pool, approximately $18 to $24 in borax plus $10 in muriatic acid if not already on hand. Now, before the 3 mistakes, if you want the complete setup guide with doses for every pool size, the Pool Carter Playbook from green to crystal clear. 139 pages covering the complete grocery store method, the full SLAM process for green pools, seasonal guides, and the 5 numbers that run your pool all summer. Normally $67, right now just $29.99, 7-day money-back guarantee. Instant PDF download, link is below this video. The 3 mistakes that prevent the hotel pool result. Mistake 1, adding borax without correcting alkalinity first. The single most common setup error and the one that produces a week of chemistry instability before things improve. 1. The borate buffer needs the alkalinity foundation beneath it to hold pH at the correct level. Without adequate alkalinity, the pH correction made after the borax addition does not hold consistently, and the buffer establishes at an unstable pH level. The owner sees chemistry swinging rather than stabilizing and concludes borax is not working. It is working. The foundation it needs does not exist. Fix alkalinity first every time. Mistake 2, skipping the muriatic acid correction after adding borax. Borax raises pH by approximately 0.5 units at the full initial dose. An owner who adds 20 pounds of borax to a 10,000-gallon pool and walks away without the acid correction wakes up to pH at 8.0 or above, with chlorine working at reduced effectiveness. The borate buffer has established, but at the wrong pH level, holding the water at 8.0 instead of 7.5. Every subsequent day, the buffer holds pH at the wrong level and chlorine remains partially ineffective. The acid correction immediately after the borax addition is what places the buffer at the correct operating pH. It is not a secondary step. It is half of the setup. 1. Mistake 3, exceeding 50 ppm borates through repeated additions without testing. Above 50 ppm foaming becomes persistent in pools with any aeration, waterfalls, jets, active swimmers. The foam is harmless but alarming and very difficult to eliminate without a partial dilution to bring borates back into range. Test with a borate strip before every top-up addition regardless of how long it has been since the last addition. If the reading is between 30 and 50 ppm, do not add more. If below 30 ppm, add the calculated top-up dose. Never add borax without testing first. 1. The maintenance system that keeps hotel pool water quality all season. Borax established correctly at the start of the season requires minimal ongoing attention. Borates are chemically stable, they do not evaporate, break down under UV, or get consumed by swimmer load. They leave the pool only when water physically leaves through backwashing, splash out, and evaporation replacement. Mid-season top-up test borates with a strip in late July. If the reading has dropped below 30 ppm, add 5 to 8 pounds of borax per 10,000 gallons, broadcast with the pump running. 1. Correct pH with a small muriatic acid addition, if it rises above 7.6 afterward. This top-up takes 15 minutes and costs $3 to $5. It is the only borax-specific maintenance action needed between the initial setup and season closing. The daily and weekly routine does not change with borates established. 2-minute morning test of free chlorine and pH every day in July and August. Weekly full panel covering all 5 numbers. Bleach additions at dusk based on morning test results. Correct alkalinity with baking soda when the weekly panel shows it has drifted below 90 ppm. 1 weekly 3-minute brush of corners, steps, and wall niches. Filter cleaned when pressure rises 8 to 10 psi above normal. Pump running 8 to 12 hours daily through peak summer. The borate system supports every part of this routine by making pH more stable between corrections. The daily test remains essential because the buffer slows drift, but does not stop it entirely on heavy use days. The combination of buffer stability and daily monitoring is what produces the hotel pool result consistently. Neither one alone delivers what both together produce. 1. What changes in the first 2 weeks after setup? Realistic expectations. Days 1 through 3, the primary change is not visible in the water, it is in the test kit. pH corrections made on day 1 hold through day 2 without the drift that was previously undoing them within 24 hours. The buffer is working. The foundation that makes everything else more stable is in place. Days 4 through 7, free chlorine holds more consistently between morning tests. The pH stability is translating into chlorine that works at higher effectiveness for longer stretches of the day. 1 less chlorine consumed per unit of sanitizing work accomplished. Some owners notice the pool requires slightly less bleach per evening addition to maintain the same morning reading. The chlorine added the previous evening is still partially present the following morning rather than fully depleted. Week 2, water clarity often visibly improves, not because borax is a clarifier, but because chlorine working at stable, effective pH is oxidizing organic compounds as they enter rather than letting them accumulate. 1. The slight haze that was always present in the afternoon, the result of accumulated organic load in a pool where chlorine effectiveness was degrading through the day, is no longer forming at the same rate. The water holds its morning clarity through the afternoon. What you may notice that hotel guests describe, eyes do not sting after extended swimming. The harsh chemical smell is reduced or absent. Skin feels less dried out after an afternoon in the pool. These are the sensory indicators of a pool where chlorine is working correctly and chloramines are not accumulating. This is the hotel pool experience, and it is available in a residential pool for a $4 box from the laundry aisle and 1 afternoon of setup. The salt pool difference, why borax helps more in a salt system than in a traditional chlorine pool. Salt pool owners consistently underestimate how much the borate system improves their specific chemistry challenges. The assumption is that the generator handles everything and borax is for traditional chlorine pools. Both assumptions are wrong. Salt chlorine generators raise pH as a byproduct of electrolysis. 1 sodium hydroxide is produced alongside chlorine during the electrolysis process, and it raises pH continuously while the generator runs. A salt pool fights upward pH drift from 2 simultaneous forces, the aeration-driven push that every pool faces and the continuous generator-driven push that traditional pools do not experience. The borate buffer that specifically resists upward pH drift is therefore doing more work more of the time in a salt system. Many salt pool owners using the borate system report cutting their muriatic acid usage by 40 to 60% within the first season. The buffer absorbs the generator-driven pH rise that was previously requiring daily acid corrections. The setup method is identical, the dose is identical, the maintenance is identical. The only salt pool specific consideration is that generator output is fixed on heavy use days when bather demand exceeds generator production capacity. Free chlorine drops regardless of how stable pH is. Monitor free chlorine daily in July and August. Once supplement with plain unscented bleach at dusk on days when the morning test shows free chlorine below 2 ppm. Despite the generator running, the hotel pool experience in a salt system, borax establishing the pH stability layer that the generator chemistry cannot provide on its own, combined with daily monitoring that catches the days when demand exceeds output. Both together produce the consistent water quality that salt pool owners expect from their system, but frequently do not achieve without the borate buffer addressing the generator-driven pH challenge. 1. The seasonal cost of not knowing about borax. What 20 years of pool ownership looks like without it. Consider a pool owner who has maintained a residential pool for 20 years without knowing about the borate system. Each season, weekly algicide at $20 per bottle purchased bi-weekly, $200 per season. Frequent pH product purchases to correct the drift that the missing buffer allows, $90 to $130 per season. 1 occasional emergency algae treatments when the pH excursions open the window long enough for a bloom, $60 to $120 per event at 2 events per season average, $120 to $240 per season. Total algae and pH-related chemistry spend $410,000 to $506 per season. 20 seasons, $8,200 to $11,400 spent on chemistry addressing a pH instability problem that a $4 box of borax would have structurally resolved. The borax has been in the laundry aisle of the grocery store for all 20 of those seasons. 1. The pool store has been selling this same owner pH products, algicide, and emergency treatments across those same 20 seasons. The information needed to close the gap between those 2 purchasing patterns has been on the back of the borax box in plain language the entire time. No one with a financial stake in the alternative had any reason to point at it. This channel points at it. Every video, every compound, the laundry aisle has what your pool needs. The resort hotel figured that out decades ago. 1. The pool owner who figures it out this season stops writing the receipts that the previous 20 seasons produced. The pattern that ends with one trip to the laundry aisle. Every visit to the pool store for pH product, algae or cloudy water treatment traces back to the same missing piece. A pH buffer that holds water chemistry in the range where chlorine stays effective all day. Without that buffer, pH drifts. When pH drifts, chlorine efficiency drops. When chlorine efficiency drops, organic compounds accumulate. When organic compounds accumulate, chloramines form and algae gets the window it needs. The pool store sells you products that address each symptom separately. pH product for the drift, algaecide for the algae, clarifier for the cloudiness, shock for the chloramines. Each product treats one symptom while the missing buffer keeps producing the next one. Borax addresses the missing buffer. One compound, one afternoon of setup, one $4 to $7 box from an aisle you walk through every week. The pH stability it creates closes the gap that every pool store purchase was trying to address symptom by symptom. Resort hotels discovered this decades ago. The pool store has had every reason not to mention it since the laundry aisle has had the answer the entire time. If this is the season the pH drift cycle ends for your pool and the water finally holds the clarity and comfort you experienced in that hotel pool, drop it in the comments. What was your pH correction frequency before the borate system, and what did it change to after? 1. That honest comparison helps the next owner understand what the $4 box actually delivers before they spend another season buying the symptom treatment instead of the cause fix. Every video on this channel works the same way. Real numbers, no sponsors, no pool store upsell. If that is useful to you, subscribe. This channel reads the water, not the marketing.